Hi there, it's Catherine here. I'm going to talk you through this recent article from LinkedIn looking at what kinds of emails get the best response rates. This was published on the 20th of April 2021. And this will be based on global data. So it has no nuance around what part of the world you're in or what industry you work in. This is just data collected across the board about InMails and which ones get the best response rates. So let's dive in. Obviously, we want to get a good response rate to our InMails. I've made it clear that I don't think InMail should be your first port of call when reaching out to candidates, but we will sometimes need to use InMail. And when we do, it really benefits us to get a response, right? We're using it because we haven't found another great way to get in touch. We want that reply. Also, LinkedIn rewards us for getting a response to our InMail by giving us our credit back. So if you send good InMails, you will never run out of credits. What questions is this going to answer? So it looks at, do longer or shorter InMails tend to get better response rates? Does it matter what day of the week you send your InMail? Are personalized InMails more likely to get a response? And are open to work candidates more likely to respond? For most of these questions, you probably instantly have a hypothesis. You're probably like, you know what? I think open to work candidates are going to be more likely to respond. But this is great to look at the data and see, well, by how much is it actually worth prioritizing these candidates, all that kind of stuff. Let's dive in and have a look at that first question. Do longer or shorter InMails tend to get a better response rate? Now, we have this lovely graph from LinkedIn. If you're not used to reading graphs like this, don't worry. The words around it will totally explain everything that is said in the graph. You don't need to understand the graph. But this line through the middle of the graph is the average response rate for all InMails sent across the board on LinkedIn. And then this dot on the left-hand side up here represents the response rate to short InMails from 200 to 400 characters. So that's sort of starting just a bit longer than a tweet, going up to about 3 tweets long. So if you're on Twitter, that will mean something to you. A tweet is about 180 characters. So you'll really get a feel for how long that message is. And it's not a long message. That is pretty brief and to the point. And if you're sending short messages, you're getting a 16% uplift on your response rate. That's pretty compelling. But if you're sending big, long InMails, 1,400 characters plus, you're seeing a negative impact of more, 18% less good response rate on your InMails that you're sending. That is a very definite graph that says the longer your InMail is, the worse your response rate will be. I'm not saying that there aren't some industries where that's not the case. I have heard anecdotally that in tech, engineers are more likely to want a lot of detail, but there are ways to get that in without it being a long InMail. You can send links or you can send attachments with more information. If someone's interested, they will click. It is really worth having a look at the length of your InMails, because the next graph down shows that actually 90% of all InMails are longer than 400 characters. A very small percentage of InMails is actually in that sweet spot of 201 to 400 characters long. Most of our InMails that we send are to the longer persuasion. I find it hard to believe that 11% of people are finding 1,400 characters worth of things to say in an initial InMail. So yeah, this is really interesting data, and anything you can do to shorten those InMails is probably going to help your response rate. What's next? Days of the week. Does it matter when you send your InMail? Because you might be planning your week, you might be blocking in time to do outreach to candidates. So if you can put that at the right time, that might be good. But LinkedIn says it doesn't really matter what day you send an InMail, just avoid Saturdays. Most of us probably work a Monday to Friday, so that's going to be okay for us. LinkedIn go a little bit deeper and say InMails sent Monday to Thursday get the best response rate. So that's probably because sometimes people like to think about things a little bit. So it says that 65% of InMail responses arrive within 24 hours. So if you think about that, sending it on a Friday, somebody's then within a few hours going to be distracted by the weekend, their families, all that good stuff. So Monday to Thursday, don't put your reach out on Fridays. There we go. Nice piece of advice there from LinkedIn. Then finally, personalized versus bulk messages. Personalized emails perform about 20% better than ones written or sent en masse. This doesn't mean that you can't use a template. One of the biggest advantages of using InMail is that you can save template messages. It just means load up the template and then personalize it for that person that you're sending the message to. Send your messages one at a time instead of 10 at a time. And InMails written without a template perform 20% better than templated InMails. So you can still send something individually with a template, but if you want to, really up your game, then it's a fresh message every time, which obviously is a bigger time investment. So you're going to have to play these off against each other. You think, is the time investment worth it for that 20% uplift? And sometimes if you've only got 5 candidates left that you haven't got in touch with, and you're like, really need some more replies here, and I've only got 5 people, then it may well be worth writing a fresh message to each of those 5 people. Personalization obviously is more than just writing without a template. LinkedIn are right to point this out. I think you can really say, well, what is leaping out to you when you first look at a profile? We quote Stacey Zappa here. She's a person really worth following, a great sourcer, somebody with lots of great insight. And this is something that I'm sure I've said before, whatever stands out at first glance, whatever questions you have when you first look at their profile, you're thinking, have they got experience with, how much experience have they got with that? It's mentioned in their skills. Well, why not write that in the InMail? Why not ask that question straight off the bat? I saw your profile and I wondered this because I'm working on this. If you'd be open to a conversation, please get in touch. That's nice. It's short. It's very personal. You can't really go wrong. And finally, as we hypothesized, InMails sent to open to work candidates see a 75% performance lift. As I mentioned back in, I think it was the filters lesson, back when we were searching, I think it can be worth looking at those open to work candidates first while your search is still relatively broad. Bring in those candidates who are active, they're more likely to respond to you. Even if they're not 100% perfect for what you're looking for, they might know someone who is. And once you've started that conversation, it's so much easier to find out those things. Plus, they're great people to have in your database because you might not want them today, but you might want them a week from now or a month from now. So the more conversations you can have, the better, as always. Definitely use that filtering capability in LinkedIn Recruiter and check out those people who are open to work first, because they're the ones who are it's most likely to pay off when you reach out to them.